She's going to address the elephant in the room as a black woman. Let's see what she's got to say, and I'll give my thoughts as we go.
Black people, we want to know why people don't want our kids in public places. You want to know why they're putting all these rules of a dress code and literally forcing them out of restaurants and all of this. Well, I'm going to give you some sound advice. When you are okay with your child singing songs like Spin That by Young Miami, saying, first line is, where my scamming ass niggas at? And you wonder why our kids are so poisoned, why they think that killing and violence is cool. They glorify the thug, lust, and scamming culture. And you're okay with them listening to this music. You're hitting record of your young daughters twerking. You're hitting record with your sons throwing up gang signs, having all the money out there, you know, because we gotta know that they have money, right? It's embarrassing. It is. It's extremely embarrassing. And then you give other races something to talk about. Why? A lot of people are not far off on their allegations about these stereotypes. Now, when you have your kids listening to this stuff and you're hearing.
Before we continue and hear any more, she's absolutely right. She's correct, right? And this is one of the reasons why that sort of music is forbidden in our household. Why? Because we would rather not poison our children with that sort of messaging, with that sort of brainwashing and that sort of ideology, right? I don't want my sons, I don't want my daughters speaking in that way. I don't want my daughters thinking for any stretch of the imagination that they're some hoe or some whatever or anything along those lines. I don't want my sons thinking, yeah, they're gangsters and they're going to shoot up people and all this different kind of stuff, all this nonsense. But this is what continues to flood the black culture, as you say, right? She's absolutely right. And the funny thing about it is, one of the things she said at the end, the word that stood out to me, or the word I thought of anyway, was, we are the entertainment. And I don't even really want to say we are the entertainment, because I don't really like talking about things in that way before we continue to hear what she's got to say about, oh, like, we are, right? These are these false constructs that are created. She's talking about, when I mentioned it before, black culture, right? Why has it got to be black culture? Why do they say black time when they're referring to people showing up late? All of these sort of constructs, these are the kind of things that you have to be aware of, and you have to be able to sidestep and break out of them. It's not, black people aren't late. I say in my household, poor people are late. People that don't want to be wealthy, people that are foolish, show up late. They don't show up on time. They definitely don't show up early. And this is one of the reasons, this is one of the sort of habits and character traits that poor people have. It's not about being black. It's about being poor versus being wealthy. It's about being a fool versus being wise. It's about being ungodly versus being righteous. These are the true distinctions that we should actually be focusing on. The reason I said the word that stands out to me is entertainment before we continue is because she says you give different races the opportunity to have stories and have laughs, etc. What is that? Entertainment. Do you just want to be looked at and viewed as someone who brings the entertainment, that brings the fun, brings the joy? No, right? You don't want to be the laughing stock. You actually want to be someone that is substantive, someone who has substance. So the fact that she's saying all this stuff so far makes so much sense. And this is the kind of thing that if you're watching this video, especially if you're a black person, you need to start taking the steps, if you aren't already, where you're not associated with the things which they try to broadcast over on black people. What do they say? A famous saying, if you wanna hide anything from a black person, where do you put it? in a book. It's not black people, guys. It's foolish people. Foolish people don't read books. It's poor people. Poor people don't read books. It's not black people. So I'm saying all this to say, before we hear what else she has to say, don't fall for these sorts of mental traps and barriers that people, for whatever reason, will try and put you in. Just because you're black doesn't mean that you have to shout late, doesn't mean that you have to swear and you have to speak in a way which is derogatory towards women and to think that you're a gangster or you're a thug, or that means you have to wear your trousers lower than they should be, lower than your waistline. You don't have to. These are the kind of things and traits that foolish poor people do. So if you don't want to be a fool, if you don't want to be poor, stop doing these sorts of activities. Start doing the sort of activities that wise people do, and more wealth will gravitate towards you. This is just a biblical law. Let's see what else she has to say.
Yeah. Is there nothing that goes through your mind like, this is absolute trash? That my kid may have been influenced by some of these lyrics about the culture. Does that ever run through your head?
The sad truth is, for a lot of these people, it doesn't. Because it's entertainment. They just think it's funny. Because someone can sprinkle some deadly poison to you through humor, they just think it's funny. Yeah, I'm going to sing these songs. I'm going to be in the club popping bottles. I'm going to be doing all this nonsense. Yeah, I'm a gangster. I'm a thug, blah, blah, blah. No, you're an idiot. And you're on your way, if you're not there ready, to be more of a fool and to be poorer. And that's what you're going to lead your children into. And your children are going to grow up and look back later on in life and be like, why did my parents put me in this situation? Why didn't they give me any game? Why didn't they give me any strategy, any secrets, any wisdom? And they're going to resent you. And if they're not strong enough, if they don't have enough godly, wise counsel around them, they're going to perpetuate and do the same thing for their children. Instead of breaking those chains of events and actually going in the right direction and saying, no, enough is enough. Just because most of the rappers out there online or wherever are the same skin tone as you, doesn't mean that's the music you need to listen to. Doesn't mean that's the music you need to gravitate towards. Just because they get what you may be going through in the hood, doesn't mean that's what you need to gravitate towards too. In fact, if you don't want to be in the hood, if you don't want that sort of lifestyle, it makes more sense to listen to people and listen to things from people who aren't in that environment, because you want to get out of that environment. Just saying.
No, it doesn't. All right. And again, this is not all black people. But I see the trajectory of where this is going. And it does not look good. When are the influential people in the black community that care so much about black people advancement and all of this stuff, why are they not speaking out about this? We can talk all the time about white people, how oppressed we are, all that, but why are we not talking about how our babies are being poisoned by these lyrics, these songs, and these rappers that you guys glorify? We all know that what you ingest is what you become.
I was thinking the exact same thing when she mentioned trash in, trash out. If you fill yourself with foolish stuff and poor stuff, that's where you're going to end up. This is why I always just continue to say you need to be wiser. You need to make wiser steps. You need to react righteously in all these different areas of life when it comes to what you listen to, what's going into your mind. Those songs that you should know how serious it is, right? I'll tell you this story, which I've told on different occasions, but it's so fascinating. So one birthday of mine, right? My birthday is on Valentine's Day. So we went out. My wife took me out to a restaurant one of my birthdays, right? I went to the restaurant. The food was nice, etc., all that good stuff. And because it's Valentine's Day, they're in this particular restaurant playing all these love songs from the 80s and the 90s, right? And stuff like that. So pretty much around our childhood, right? And it's funny because obviously, normally when you grow up and you listen to music around your age group, but you probably listen to music from a bit before. But anyway, just before I digress anymore, I could recite all of those lyrics from many of those songs like that, even though I hadn't listened to those songs in years, some of those songs in decades. That shows you how powerful music is. That shows you how powerful messaging is just in general. Something that you may have listened to on rinse and repeat over and over and over again, because that's what we do with songs, especially songs we love. You don't listen to that for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. You're in a restaurant, the song comes on, like a robot. You could easily just start spitting them all out. Now imagine if it wasn't gangster rap or the latest Womanizer and his songs about a guy who's sleeping around and doing all sorts of debauchery. But it was stuff about how to be wiser, how to be wealthier, how to be healthier. Imagine if those were the things that were just firing off in your mind all the time. You see the difference? This is the difference between poor people and wealthy people. Let's listen to a bit more.
So we can talk about all of these things about what other races are doing to us, but we can't fix our own problems.
Because then you'd have to be accountable, which is not what a lot of people want to do.
If we took half the time to worry about what's going on over here and fixing the problems in our own community, we really wouldn't even have time to hear the bigots, the racists, all of that. But no, we like to pass the blame. I'm tired of it. And black people that have money and influence, you need to start speaking up about this stuff. You guys are being loyal to the demise of our people, and something has to be said. What a concept.
You see, it's not that deep, but it's so true at the same time, right? It's the onus is on people who are in successful positions, I truly believe, to give the game back to people who aren't, right? You don't always have to spend resources. You don't even have to always spend loads of time, but you can share wise game with people who are coming after you on so many different levels, but you have to want to do it. You see, most people don't want to speak bad about where they may have come from or their culture because they're going to be insulted. Oh, he's a coconut, he's a coon. Like, no. Just be willing to speak the truth so the people that really want the truth can benefit from it, regardless of their situation. Guys, if you haven't already, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. And as always, don't forget to react righteously. I'll see you on the next one. God bless.